About your impact on the Arts Council, I think about several things. Early education, childhood education, you started with a lot of those programs. Performing arts at Festival, and certainly with Winter Tales. And so talk to us a little about each of those areas.
Well, let me start with Winter Tales. I think that we had brought in an individual storyteller and who was received quite well. And we said, well, why don't we just bring in more and have an evening of different kinds of storytellers, and it went so well, we were just delighted. And I think the people in Oklahoma City enjoyed it. I remember we brought in a fellow, his name was Uncle Dick, and he knew stories about early Oklahoma and the farmers and the farmers' wives and what have you, and then we would bring in people who told beautiful, rich folk tales and myths, and so I felt that we offered something new to our city. I'm glad we did it.
And now that came the Territory Tellers.
Absolutely. The first Territory Teller meeting was held in this room, and we didn't know really what to call ourselves. And we thought, well, we're from Oklahoma Territory, and we'll just call ourselves the Territory Tellers.
And it's still going, I'm assuming.
Still
Yes.
going,
Yeah.
the name
So
has held on.
yeah, I think, wasn't the first storytelling thing we did, wasn't it in the summer? Didn't we do it around the 4th of July?
We did it in the summer, the 4th of July,
Yeah.
and then from then on, switched it to wintertime because...
Because we liked the name so well that we needed to switch to winter.
Well, and stories are traditionally told
Sure.
in... the Irish call it the coming in when it starts getting dark early. In the fall, they begin to tell the stories, and then in the winter, that's the time for stories. And that's true with Native American cultures, too.
Right.
The stories are told in the winter.
You were a featured teller more than once.
Yes, I
with it.
was.
So
It was kind of nice running the show. I got to bill myself.
absolutely. So tell us what stories you specialize in.
It's kind of in the tradition of storytelling to have a niche. And my niche is sky lore and stories about the stars. And someone asked me one time, did I think that was a little excessive to pick the universe out as my niche? But I didn't think so. So, well, some people will tell historical tales, some family tales, some stay just with folklore. And I was with the folklore, but mostly it was about the stars in the sky, because that's what Oklahoma has lots of.
Yeah. And relating the Native American lore
Yes.
to the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what about the early days of festival in education and performing arts? Some of those things.
I can remember that we put together a troupe of artists. We had a musician, a dancer, a theater person, and who am I missing?
I think was that the Zany Arts Players? Is that the ZAP?
No,
Is that a
not
different
the
one?
same as the ZAP.
What were they called? Was it CETA funded?
I think it may have
I think it
been.
was.
The Lucky Penny Players, is that it?
No, that was before
Another one?
You know, what were they called? What did we call
I don't
them?
remember. If we had Randy here, he could tell us.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But anyway, it was a wonderful group. They were very talented, and they did go into the schools and into senior citizen homes and places where you would not expect to see that kind of performance. The single best thing that I remember, and I tell this story to anyone who will listen, is that we would have the Spring Festival, and the Oklahoma City Symphony would often come and play and perform during the festival times, and teachers from all over the state brought in their students. And there was an afternoon, and the bleachers were filled with a bunch of boys, high school kids, and they, teacher had drug them up here and said, we're going to give you a little dose of culture, And they're sitting there, and they're jabbing each other, and they're poking, and they're being teenage boys. The symphony started playing, and they were playing Beethoven. And pretty soon they got to that last movement of Beethoven. And the kids, those boys, started listening. And they were sitting up, and they were leaning forward, and when you get to that last movement, which just blows anybody
Right.
away, there they were. They started standing up, and they started cheering and whistling and doing what you do when you're a high school kid and you like something really well. And they were stomping and yelling and whistling, and the orchestra was blasting out that last movement. It was just a joyous thing because it touched them, and they responded in the way that they know to respond. It's my favorite thing ever.
It's why we did what we did.
It's why we did what
So-
we did, indeed.
Are we done?